Hello folks, meet me again, Mr. Scary Exist. In this video, I'd like to tell you the true story. Don't you know that I can see them, but they can't see me? Only 1 out of 1,000 people had the experience to get in touch with me. Here is the story.
Have you ever felt an eerie presence while driving on a desolate road at night? Allow me to introduce myself. I'm John, a hard-working man with a simple life. As a construction foreman, I've always been the kind of person who's more comfortable with concrete and steel than the supernatural. My family? Just me and my wife Sarah. We've been each other's rock for the past 15 years. One late evening, Sarah and I found ourselves driving on a deserted road. The kind of road that's so barren it feels like it's been forgotten by time itself. The only light was the faint glow of the moon, and the occasional flash of our car's headlights slicing through the darkness. The silence was so thick, it almost felt tangible, like I could reach out and grab it. The road stretched on endlessly like a black ribbon cutting through the void. The trees on either side of the road stood tall and silent, their shadows dancing with each passing moment. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and something else. Something I couldn't quite put my finger on. It was a scent that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. As we drove, the feeling of unease grew. The road seemed to grow darker, the silence louder. There was a sense of anticipation, like the night was holding its breath. And then, against my wife's advice, I decided to pick up a hitchhiker. The man was a stranger. His eyes held a cryptic gleam. His presence in the car was like a cold wind on a summer day, unexpected and unsettling. As we drove, he spoke in riddles. His words danced around the edges of meaning, and his laugh, oh, it was a hollow echo that bounced off the car's walls. The man was peculiar. His energy filled the car with an eerie stillness. His conversations were an odd mix of tales and warnings, a cocktail of terror and intrigue. I found myself drawn into his web of words, following his instructions as if entranced. The road ahead twisted and turned, mirroring our strange journey. At each fork, his voice guided us, his cryptic words steering our path. We ventured deeper into the unknown, the world outside our windows shifting with each mile. His instructions led us deeper into the unknown. The further we drove, the more peculiar everything became. The air was thick with a sense of dread that clung to me like a second skin. The hitchhiker's instructions led us down a labyrinth of deserted roads, each turn more desolate than the last. His voice, once a comforting presence, now echoed in the car like a chilling whisper. Each direction he gave felt like a step further into the abyss of the unknown. A feeling of unease settled over me. A sensation that was almost tangible, like the cold touch of phantom fingers tracing down my spine. The silence of our surrounding was broken by strange noises, sounds that didn't belong in the stillness of the night. A distant howl, a rustling of leaves when there was no wind, a faint whimpering that seemed to come from nowhere. Each sound was a symphony of fear that played on my frayed nerves, amplifying the terror that gripped my heart. The air grew colder. A chill that seeped into my bones and made my breath fog up the windshield. I could feel the hitchhiker's gaze on me, a weight that was more terrifying than the isolation of our surroundings. As we ventured deeper into the desolate landscape, an overwhelming sense of fear gripped me. The realization dawned on me that I was lost in the middle of nowhere, with a stranger whose presence was becoming increasingly terrifying. The terror had gripped me so tightly I could barely speak. My voice trembled as I turned to my wife, clutching her hand in mine. I stammered out the story, each word a testament to the horror we'd just experienced. The cryptic conversations, the unsettling behavior, the terrifying revelation of the hitchhiker's true identity. It all poured out of me in a rush, like a river breaking through a dam. I could still feel the chill of the hitchhiker's eerie presence, the tangible fear hanging in the air. The stench of dread was still fresh, lingering in the confines of our car. My heart pounded, waiting for her response. I expected shock, fear, disbelief. But what came was something entirely different, something that sent a fresh wave of chills down my spine. With a confused look on her face, she shrugged off my hand and answered in a calm, steady voice. "What are you talking about? I've been sleeping the entire time."